Agency uncensored. Agency uncensored. With Ben Harper and Jeff Joyce. Agency uncensored.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Agency Uncensored. Ben and I are super excited to start rolling these episodes out again, and we want to show you an episode that we recorded last year that we think is really valuable. And to give you a little context as to where we've been, the agency and AI landscape has just evolved so quickly. And Ben and I have been working really hard behind the scenes on our various different products and services, but now seemed like the right time to jump back in and start delivering really good, valuable information. Over the next 2 episodes, you're going to see exactly what I mean when it comes to how AI is changing agencies forever. But before we dive into that, let's go ahead and take a look at this episode because there's a lot of valuable information in there. All right, John, can you tell us a little bit about your backstory?
Yeah, so I was trained as a web developer and technical writer in college and university in Virginia. Worked for a software company for about a year in the Northern Virginia area. Then I helped run a book publishing company from Europe, from Switzerland for about a year and a half, something like that. And then I moved back to the States in 2010. And basically since then, I've spent 12 of those 14 years agency side. So working for agencies, running agencies, starting agencies. I worked for 2 years in-house with Zillow from like 2013 to 2015, running marketing, SEO, mostly like inbound marketing for a couple of their brands. But other than that, I've been in agency land for a really long time. So worked for a small agency in Philadelphia doing as a link builder and doing some basic technical SEO. Then I worked for an agency called Distilled. They're an SEO content kind of inbound agency, partner with Moz, SEO software company. So worked for them for about 2.5 years, went in-house for a couple of years, got laid off, and then started my last agency, which was a lead gen agency called Credo. I kind of sit on like the agency productized service line there. Yeah, so I built that for 7 years, basically it being my main thing with some like consulting on the side as well. And then I sold that just over 2 years ago, and I've been focused on my company Editor Ninja ever since. So it's a productized content editing service business / agency.
It's funny. I remember I first became aware of you when you were at Distilled. I used to follow Distilled because loads of great people seem to be there and come out of there. It seems to be like a real hotbed of creative talent at the time back in those days. And I know a lot of people have gone on to found agencies from there as well. Do you stay in contact with that kind of team or?
Yeah, I do. There's probably half a dozen or so that I stay in, I don't know, I would say, quarterly contact with. I actually just reconnected with an old boss of mine from there, and Editor Ninja's doing some work for the agency that he's at now. So yeah, we jokingly call it the Distilled Mafia, like the PayPal Mafia back in the day. It's the Distilled Mafia. Like a lot of us have gone on and started our own agencies or like gone in house and done some really cool stuff. So yeah, it was a great like team to join and be part of, and really just like accelerated my career. Honestly, like I owe a lot of my success to those years of like building an audience, learning how to write well, learning how to communicate thoughts well, speaking on stages, all of that. So yeah, it was a great time in my life. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. It's funny because I've always I became aware of you then when I was running an agency as well. And then I became aware of you when you were at Credo, when I was running a lead gen kind of company as well.
Okay.
And now we've reconnected now and you're Editor Ninja and I'm at Bramwell. So we kind of like had similar paths from different sides.
Yep. It's funny. It's great how that happens.
John, you recently ran a campaign, and one of the main things that I wanted to get you on this call for, because I think it's really interesting. I was hoping that you could kind of share how it's going, what you're doing, and give us a little bit more information about that.
Yeah, so Editor Ninja's going well, to be honest with you. Like I've been on it full time since about mid-January of 2023. So I don't even know, 22 months now, something like that. And, I went onto it full time. I took about 3.5 months off, like kind of transitioning Credo over to the new owners, and then realized I was super burnt out because I've been building it for a long time and basically just needed a shift. And starting about mid-January of 2023, I was like, all right, I'm focusing on Editor Ninja. I was talking to a mentor of mine and I was kind of whinging, to use a British word there, Ben, about growth. And he was like, if you want this thing to grow, you actually have to work on it. And I was like, fair point. Because I was working like 10, 12 hours a week on it, something like that. I was like, okay, fair point. So I started working on it basically full time then. Long story short, we've gone from, we were at like 3-4K a month then to like we've 15x since then, something like that. So we're like mid 6 figures in annual revenue now. Got a dozen or so editors, a few writers, some ops people, some workflow managers, account managers, that kind of thing. Most of them are contractors, but we've got a lot of these different roles kind of built out. And I'm really heading up just the business side, growing the business. So managing the business, but also packaging, pricing, all that sort of stuff. I also do all the marketing and sales. I have a little bit of support there, But those are kind of my roles. Then I have a head of ops that kind of controls the whole delivery side. So once I sell someone in, we get them onboarded. Sophia and the team basically take over from there. And then I'm pulled in when there's big bonfires, basically, right? Small little fires, they put them out. But there's a big thing, big strategic thing, then I get pulled in. But that's very, very rare these days. So yeah, it's going well. We're editing close to 1 million words a month at this point, probably over 1 million words a month, not all coming through our systems, but we have some dedicated editors that are working in client systems. And so we're over 1 million words a month. That's for sure at this point. And so, Jeff, you kind of alluded to a campaign I've recently started that is doing really well. Basically, like, we're a productized service, right? And so we've been growing kind of consistently, pricing kind of customers from like $249 a month up to like high four figures a month, like in retainers. And it's been good. It's also been hard. Productized services, especially lower price productized services, they're tough to grow because like you get churn and people like kind of come and go and they pause and they come back and and all this stuff. And it was taking it takes a lot of management to run it. Because we don't have like, where they can go and be like, all right, I'm at $249 a month right now. I need to go to $399 a month for the next month. And then I need to go back down and that kind of thing. So like I was literally going in and manually adjusting stuff within Stripe in order to get like their subscriptions right. So basically, Jeff, what I did was I reread $100 million offers from Alex Hormozy. And basically was like, all right, who do we best work with? And this comes off the back of who are figuring out who our ideal customer is. Because we've worked with 200 plus customers over the last about 2 years. And basically we came to realize that who our ideal customer is, it's in-house, like marketing teams for the most part, also smaller agencies, but they have to be set up in kind of a specific way. That's kind of who our ideal customer is. And then we were like, all right, they're the most profitable. They're great to work with. They sign on, they get a ton of value and they stick around for a long time. And I could pinpoint what their like average customer value is. And so I was like, all right, cool. Let's build an offer specifically for them. So basically, long story short, built that out. We have both a quarterly and an annual offer, though obviously I pitched the annual offer first, and for the right people, they take that. And then we have like a quarterly offer, which is more per month. And so kind of depending on the person and their needs, either one fits. And so I've been running LinkedIn ads. Like LinkedIn is a great platform for B2B agencies. I have Sales Navigator and all of that. So doing outreach and whatever, but I was also messing around with LinkedIn ads and was getting like 0.25% clicks. So like if 1,000 people saw it, I'd get like 25 clicks, something like that. Launched the new offer and basically 4x the clicks and dropped the cost per click by about 85%, something like that. Basically went from like $16 a click to like $2 a click. So, and getting leads from it and all of that versus previously we weren't. So like that just really reminded me, Jeff, you just got to try big things. Like iterating on this stuff, little 10% like tweaks here and there. Sure, they're fine, but like it's basically as much work to find something that like 3 to 4x's results as it is to find something that grows it by like 10%. So, might as well do that, especially early on. So
that's really cool. I love LinkedIn ads as well, but I know a lot of agencies are kind of scared of them because of those kind of CPC levels that you typically start at anyway before you optimize a campaign. People would probably love to hear and like share what you're comfortable with, because obviously you're running this campaign right now. But like, what kind of format are you using? Using the chat ads? Are you using the like banner type ads? Like, what are you doing in there that's kind of working for you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they're display ads. I found that faces don't work well, super like optimized, like bright colors, like all that sort of stuff doesn't work well. My best ad running right now is basically a screenshot of editing work that we did on a document. It was an Editor Ninja document because I use my own editors to edit the content that we're publishing on Editor Ninja. So it's an Editor Ninja document, literally a screenshot of that Google Doc with comments on it. And it gets double to triple the clicks. Just it's kind of unexpected, like it shows the work, but everyone's trying to come with these graphics and formatted and faces and, all this stuff. And I just haven't found that works for me. So, it's something to try. Like I've iterated through a bunch of creative. I haven't gone to videos yet, but that's kind of the next step. I want to do like organic video first and then use some of those, to really be like to be ads themselves. Also, like lead forms are so expensive on LinkedIn. Like they're cheap on Facebook. The leads I've gotten from there tend to be junk. But for LinkedIn, it's like, literally like 5x the cost for a click through to a lead form as opposed to a click through to my site. Of course, then my site has to do a lot more work, but I'm getting better results from it.
Interesting. Like we see the same here, and as we run like Facebook, like we've done the lead ads and it's 99.9% junk every time. Like we're out of the location, like it's ignored our targeting. It's just like crazy stuff all the time. Yeah. We do get some success with LinkedIn lead formats, but yeah, they are more expensive. But it just depends on your site, doesn't it? And how well you optimize that ultimately. So
Totally.
that's good to know.
So would you consider the more of the success of that ad of going back to getting clear on who your ideal customer was?
Yeah, I think it's yes, is the short answer. I think because everything else comes from knowing exactly who you're marketing towards. I mean, like I said, I'm not quite 2 years into like running this thing full time and really trying to grow it. And at the start, like I literally released a podcast episode on this morning, like probably an hour ago, not even 45 minutes ago, that like when I start building a service, and this is my third or fourth agency that I've built from nothing to like low to mid six figures in annual revenue. I always start off just like marketing. Like, here's the offer, here's the thing that we're doing, and then see who's interested. And then market it enough that we kind of get, and I'll sell to anybody. I'm a pretty good salesperson. So like I'll sell to anybody. And then after a while, we take our knocks, we see who it fits, who it doesn't, who's willing to pay us, who's not, what's the value, all that sort of stuff. And then you go and you optimize it. So you're underpriced at first, you're selling to anybody, ops is kind of all over the place, type of customers all over the place. And then once you focus down on who the best customer is, then you can build offers, you can build delivery, you can build all of that around it, and everything goes faster. So that work was definitely foundational, Jeff, because I was able to say like, all right, in-house, this is who we're going after. And then, as agencies come, then I'm like, and I talk to them and I'm like, all right, how do we iterate on this in-house offer for agencies to make it fit them, right? So I accomplished the same thing of like payment up front, longer term, like that sort of stuff. It comes from the initial offer to in-house people because I built it specifically for the in-house crowd.
Yeah, that makes sense. When I also had a question earlier, because you handle a lot of different tasks. What does your day look like and how do you optimize for it? Because it sounds like you do quite a few different things.
Yeah, I mean, really, I'm doing three core things. I'm managing the business, and that means like, the team and performance and all that sort of stuff. That we have a company admin who handles basically all the reporting and all of that and a lot of like the workflow stuff. My day is largely taken up with marketing. So like writing content, tweaking ads, like that sort of stuff. Sales. So talking to prospects, follow-ups, negotiations, that sort of stuff. Our admin handles the creation of all of our like contracts and statements of work and that kind of thing. Upsells and downsells. So I handle that kind of stuff when a customer wants to scale up or needs to scale down or something like that. I handle that. Like I would say probably half of my day is sales at this point. And that's just like managing like projects in flight, new prospects, and then growing or shrinking existing accounts as needed. Marketing is probably 25% of my time. And then the rest is just like general business, like some account stuff and numbers and that kind of stuff. And then like bigger strategic initiatives. So my calendar is actually fairly open. I like to keep it open for sales calls and account calls and like that kind of thing. But we have a good weekly cadence of the team catching up. So I've been doing this for 9 years. Like I've made a lot of the mistakes and kind of realized what's important, what's not important. I'm not really concerned with time at my desk. Like I make sure to put in enough time actually doing the work. But like, I just went 2 hours ago and right after a sales call, took a 30-minute walk around the lake by my house, and it helped me unlock something that I've been thinking through for a while. So I actually probably take 3 to 4 hours a week just to walk and think and work through problems, which is very different from my last agency, especially at this stage, because I was doing all the things. I was working super hard, taking a ton of calls, all of that. And so this is a very different energy for me.
I know when we met in Austin, you introduced me to Sophia,
yep.
It's kind of your like right-hand woman. So she's absolutely crucial to the ops. It sounds like, she enables you to be able to go and do that, I guess.
Yeah.
How important would you say it is for agencies to find that person? How did you find her? How do you kind of build that trust with someone to be that?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was unbelievably important because I'm really good at seeing systems and processes and that sort of stuff and building them and optimizing them. I am really bad at working within them. So I'm very much the vision. I'm a weird visionary builder type, as opposed to an operator. Sophia is a very strong operator. So for me, it was super, super important. I'm sure there are agency owners who are very operations heavy and love doing the work, getting into the nitty gritty. I would say that's actually probably the majority. Most people are not like me. Like I'm not an editor. I'm a writer. I hired editors because I'm a writer and I needed editing. And then people are asking me where they could also find editors. And honestly, I built a company around it. So basically what I would say, Ben, is you need the person that's the visionary, kind of casting the big vision, overseeing processes, doing the stuff that really, ultimately builds the company. And then you need someone that's boots on the ground building it. Probably not too dissimilar from y'all with Justin and Julia, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but Sophia was actually my executive assistant at my last agency. And then she went with that company for about a little over a year after it was acquired. And then she boomeranged back then she came to Editor Ninja full time. So, I've worked with her for 3 years now, 3.5 years. And so she's really like, we really have a great trusting working relationship. So like, I know she's got stuff handled. She knows I've got stuff handled. So having that person is really important. You can do it solo, but not past, kind of about probably 250, 300K a year. And you're going to be working a ton if you don't have help and you're at that level. Yeah. It's a super important role. Like just having someone to own the delivery side for me it's just, I couldn't do it without someone in that role and Sophia in that role, just because she's so good.
If you had to give like a list of tips to somebody new that wants to start an agency or get into the agency life, what advice would you give them? What tips would you give them?
That's a good question. So the least important thing about the agency life is your ability to deliver the service yourself. And that sounds completely counterintuitive, but I actually believe like if you're going to build a true agency that like multiple people in different roles and can scale, actually being a subject expert yourself, or like that, the thing you're delivering being your main skill set is going to be a real barrier to growth. So what's actually important is the ability to manage clients. So like account management, client management. So I was a consultant. I was like a technical consultant at a software company in like 2008, 2009. So that taught me a ton about like client management and going to visit clients and that sort of stuff. That was actually like my real strength at Distilled then, is that like I was really good at managing clients. Like I'm good at SEO. I'm still good at SEO, but like there were people there that were way more talented at SEO than me, but I was really good at managing clients. So, I was given big accounts and, and all of that. So like, that's really important because agencies are built off of retention. So that's super, super important. And then someone internally has to be able to sell. Someone has to be able to like take sales calls, get deals closed, get them onboarded, see the processes, that kind of thing. And as an agency owner, like you're going to be the first one to do it. So I would say those are actually the core skills. Obviously, you have to have a service that people want to buy. Now, being on this side of, because at Credo, I was doing lead generation, the qualification, the setting of meetings, the account management, the sales, like all of that. And then basically I was able to learn how to delegate and how to hire people and how to train people. And so by the end, like I was basically not doing anything in the business, which was also part of it in that like I needed to be out of it in order to be able to sell it. But with Editor Ninja, like I said, I'm not an editor. So I've had to rely on great editors from the start. So I can really focus on, sales, marketing, and actually running the business. And then jumping on it on like that, the really high value accounts to make sure that they're super happy, we're retaining them, that kind of thing. So it's probably kind of counterintuitive advice because most agencies start because someone's like, oh, I'm really good at SEO and I'm getting a lot of SEO leads. And so I'm going to hire other people to do SEO. And then it's like, well, who's running the business, right? And then the person actually like just wants to be doing SEO. Like if you just want to be doing SEO, just be a highly paid, super valuable consultant. Like don't try to build an agency unless you find a really good operator that you are able to let run the business.
I think it's good advice, and it goes against the grain of what people will think originally, but it makes total sense. That is where agencies fall down, isn't it? So that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, Ben, you're an agency owner. Do you agree? Would you change something there?
Yeah, I agree. Like I started with a co-founder, and we were very much like, I was the equivalent of you, and he was the equivalent of Sophia. He was very much an operator. He was a hardcore SEO. He wanted to get his hands dirty and do that. I didn't. I wanted to go out and speak to clients. So it worked really well from that point of view.
Yeah,
so we were lucky with that. But if we were both the same, then yeah, would have been chaos.
Yeah,
it was impossible for me to find somebody to take over sales initially.
Really?
That was like the hardest role for me to like go into, because if you're a good salesperson, chances are you don't want to leave where you're at unless you see something that's like really good. And when you're starting a new agency, like trying to offer them enough value up front to be like, hey, I want you to come join my team is so hard. You have to really just be like, I'm going to give you a large portion and believe in you today so that we can scale this and then see where it goes from there.
I would say sales is actually like one of the last roles that someone should hire when they've started an agency. Like get delivery, get like admin stuff off of your plate first. Like my first real hire was a virtual assistant, just to like check, like handle my email, handle my inbox, handle scheduling, all of that sort of stuff. So I got that off my plate. That probably bought me back 10 hours a week. I was able to focus more on marketing and sales and that sort of stuff. Then getting basically having like a senior editor kind of handling workflow and assigning of documents, reviewing of documents. Then actually I hired them first. Then I got the assistant. Like I plan to keep being the main salesperson, at least the closer, like kind of an account executive role. Like I'm training someone up right now to be basically a qualifier, like an SDR handling inbound stuff. But I plan to keep closing until we're like, we're like mid 6 figures right now. I plan to keep closing until we're at least like, low 7 figures. So too many agency owners outsource sales way too early.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. We didn't take any sales on here at Bramwell until we were way past 2 million. Realistically, like it was all just in, and so that makes sense. Here's a question we've been asked ourselves, and we've asked a few others. If you were not doing Editor Ninja and you were starting an agency from scratch, like right now, and you had to get it going in the next 6 months, you've got AI, you've got everything that's available right now. What would you do and why?
It's a great question. I think I would spend a bunch of time researching AI myself and figuring out what are the great use cases, and then help big companies understand how to leverage AI internally. Like I met a number of people in Austin back in April who are basically doing that. And that's a super cool job. They get real nerdy with it, right? With all the different models and all that sort of stuff. But if you can take that and find where the signal is, because it's very noisy and there's a lot of really crappy AI out there, right? But if you can help people understand this is the good stuff, these are the things that you can actually do with it. These are the things that you shouldn't try to do with it. You should still keep humans on it, right? And here's where you can find some efficiencies. Like companies are able and willing to pay a lot of money for that. It's in the innovations like R&D department. I think that's probably where I would focus.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I think a bunch of people have gone down the same route. I think that's what a lot of people say, because it makes total sense right now.
Yeah. Really it's, and consulting is, I guess it's technically it's like a service business, but it's, if you could basically be the AI management consultancy, like you're going to do really well for quite a few years to come. And it's a lot less around deliverables and that sort of stuff. Like there's a part of me that kind of can't believe that I started very much a production shop, right? Like we don't do strategy for people at Editor Ninja. I have one offering where I will basically audit their content program and come back to them with, here's the content that you should be doing, right? But as an ongoing service, we do not offer strategy. Strategy is, I would say services, what I'm doing are much easier to scale because you don't need as highly paid, highly skilled, highly knowledgeable people to do it. But a consultancy, I mean, you could probably go make $500,000 a year, just you consulting with big companies on AI, if you're able to get the leads.
That's awesome. I think it's actually a great place for us to end it, actually.